Hello, welcome to your special spring readings. The vernal equinox marks the time of year to the seasonal shift into spring, bringing in warmer weather in the northern hemisphere and the commencement of the winter thaw. Of course, in the southern hemisphere, it is the beginning of autumn. Spring officially starts on March 20th at 3:29 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The equinox means equal amount of day and night. Equa meaning equal, and nox meaning night in Latin. This is where astrologers set the marking point of 0 degrees Aries, creating the Western tropical zodiacal system. There are many cultural traditions that vary as to when the new year actually begins. In some cultures and religions, especially among astrologers, spring is seen as the initiation of the real new year, being that it is based upon the nature's season and not a man-made calendar year. But either way, it is an important time for us to awaken and emerge from the chrysalis of winter and put our dreams into action. Now would be a seasonally supportive time to honor your true passions by doing what you had envisioned during the winter months. I wanted to briefly share as to what I saw as being the most appropriate card to represent spring as the Sun card. And if it happens to show up in any of your readings, consider it a bonus. All right, so we see the sun as the bringer of light and warmth, which marks the seasons changing. We see the flowers here are in bloom, especially sunflowers in this card. We see this naked child as a sign of innocence and joy. And he's holding this red banner announcing a significant event that brings promise of hope and positive changes. We see the horse as a symbol for power and strength that the sun brings in its solar power. And finally, we have this wall here in the background, which is a distinct marker or barrier between one thing and another. In this case, it is the changing of the seasons. I may actually make a more in-depth video of this card's symbology on my channel's tarot tutorial playlist. But without any further delay, let's get started with your readings. Happy spring, everyone. Sagittarius, for your reading, I will be selecting cards from the Illuminati Tarot for each month. The first card will be for the remainder of March from the 20th through 31st. The second card will be for April, the third for May, and the fourth for June, up until the start of summer season on the 20th. I will then be selecting a playing card for advice and or clarification or confirmation. Lastly, I will select a card from the Angels of Light, Cards of Clarity Oracle deck to see which angelic energy will be assisting you this season. Alright, so please show me the energy for Sagittarius spring. Sagittarius. Okay. Judgment. Five of Pentacles. Death. Ace of Wands. Two of Swords. Okay. So the Two of Swords is the overall energy for spring. Now, this has to do with choices and decisions. We have choices in life, and sometimes we are presented with circumstances in our lives where we have to make a decision, whether we want to or not. The Swords is just saying, like, okay, maybe you don't want to make a decision, but you kind of like need to in some way. That's a possibility. Also, you have choices, and the other possibility is that you may be seeing that you have two equally good options and you're sort of at an impasse. You're not really sure which is the best option for you. Now, the advice with this card is always to go within, always really ask yourself, like in your heart, what does my heart want? Not what does my head say, not what does other people say, not what are the facts and figures, and sort of weighing the pros and cons, because there's only so much that you can do of that. There's going to be pros and cons to everything, but this is just saying, what is it? What does my heart want? That is the main message that I'm getting for you for spring. Decisions, but also having options. And it looks like you kind of have to make a decision. Sometimes if you wait too long to make a decision, you kind of move, you're just sort of waiting for that energy to pass, and making no decision is also a decision. If you just do nothing, that's also like the third option. So you could do this, you could do that, or you could do nothing, which is sort of like a passive decision, okay? And it's like sort of that is when the universe sort of decides for you, okay? So, but you know you sort of need to listen to what your heart wants when this card shows up. It's also like a secondary timing card, so knowing the right time, and now is the time to make that decision. Pick one, and you know, sometimes it can be sort of a catch-22 as well, which is like, you know, neither are the great, and maybe that's why you're sitting on the fence, but one, you just have to take, I guess, the lesser of two evils. Okay, so that message is coming up for you. The Judgment card is about something coming back to life that was put to rest, something re-emerging. Okay, so at the end of March here, it's like revisiting the ghosts of the past. Okay, for final review, so that you can release and let go. This is a card of freedom, but it's also a card of like rebirth, which means that things are coming back up to the surface for you to sort of relook at. And sometimes this happens to give you, you know, one, it could be closure. Two, it just could be that it's time to have a different perspective on things. Okay, if something ended and it didn't end the way that you had thought, and you sort of have come to terms with accepting it, but it didn't really, I don't know, sit right with you. I guess this is a time to sort of like look at things differently and see how that was a positive situation, how that was a positive change, or how that was a good thing for you actually, all in all, like in the long run. Okay. Judgment card is about rebirth, so things coming back up to the surface that you're sort of reviewing and looking for final review, final inspection. Okay? And I feel like it has to do with a difficult situation that you had with somebody. It's the Five of Pentacles, which is the soulmate card. And this isn't the pleasant soulmate card. This is the challenges soulmate card. So someone from your past. I feel like this still has to do with like that Venus retrograde that happened on the 4th of March. It goes through, Venus is retrograde through the month of March. So even in the end with this Judgment card, and even like I think the first week or two of April. So this is time to review like your exes, your past loves, past relationships. It doesn't even have to be like of a romantic nature. It could be friendships, things where your heart was in it in some way. And these issues are coming back up for healing. So I see that as being very strong with your reading, Sagittarius. Okay, and here we go. Then you've got something that you're putting to rest. So if there were any lingering attachments with the Judgment card, something didn't fully complete its cycle. It's like, well, you moved on, but there was no closure. This is what you were looking for. This is the Death card, which is about endings, completions, you know, burying something, putting something to rest, moving on, and it's transformative. So the Death card is about releasing and surrendering, and This feels like you're like letting go of attachments and loose ends, okay? And it's something that you may not want to look at, but the universe is bringing it to you for final review so that you can like feel free. You can have your freedom, okay? And be a lot lighter on the other end, because following the Death card is not another heavy card. It's the Ace of Wands, which is like, this is like, to me, this is hope, passion, excitement. It's change. And fire is a very dynamic and active energy. So it looks like you've got some kind of more serious things to deal with at the beginning of spring here, and then even in the middle of spring. And it looks like starting in June, the beginning of June, it's like you're feeling, you know, like you've got your power back. Okay. Love this. So it's sort of like a burst of energy. This is actually, I'm seeing some sort of a funny image too, because the Death is about like when plants die and there's like the land is bare and barren. And this is like the first sprout, like the first plant, like shoot that's coming up out of the ground. So it's the beginning of more growth, of more plants. Okay, so when you can relate this to yourself, it's like, okay, this is the beginning of a journey that's ahead of you. So you're putting to rest what was in the past. And I do feel like it has to do with relationships, friendships, you know, even family members or people of your past that, you know, you had a close relationship with, a very destined relationship with. And there were some lessons there for you. Okay? You're fully seeing the value in that lesson and what you could take from that. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and pull a card from the playing deck, playing cards. And see what you have to say for Sagittarius spring. Okay, so I have one Joker card in this whole deck, and you got the Joker card, which is the Fool card. In the there's no majors in here. They're just court cards and minor arcanas. There's no majors. This is the only major, which is it's the Fool card. The Fool card is about new beginnings. It's about letting go of the past and moving on unencumbered from your past, totally free. And you're going to reach that here. It's like the death rebirth cycle that's very important for you at the end of May, beginning of June. And this is like moving forward, not looking back. There's hope, there's optimism that's being restored, and it's a new chapter in your life. And there's something else. It's like also not really knowing where it's going to take you. There's a little bit of excitement of like a mystery with the Ace of Wands. You know it's a beginning, but you don't know how it's going to unfold yet because it's just the beginning. So there's a little bit of like, that's why they call it the Fool, because he doesn't know where he's going. He just goes. But then he discovers all these fun adventures along the way. Okay? So you may not have a plan. That's okay. It's okay to not have a plan. All right. That's where the fun is, right? Spontaneity, freedom. All right, so I'm going to pull a card from the Angels of Light to see which angel will be around you for spring. I feel like it's this one. Spiritual Teacher Angel. Wow, she's beautiful. It's this figure with like long hair, and she's wearing this crown. It says this angel is here to help you understand spiritual concepts. Your path may be unique and your beliefs may be diverse. The spiritual teacher angel assists you in gaining clarity with regards to your perception of God and how to bring his love into your life and your world. Okay. I like that part about your unique, your path is unique. That feels like the Fool card to me. Where is it? That feels like the Fool card. That feels like the Ace of Wands. You're starting a new journey, a new path that is unfamiliar to you, and it's not like anyone around you. It's your path. You know, this is all about you and your spiritual unfolding. So this is all in all a promising reading for what's to come. All right, Sagittarius. Thank you for liking and sharing my videos and for subscribing to my channel. I will see you in the upcoming videos.